Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we mark this very special occasion in prayer. Gracious and merciful Lord, you are the giver of life, the igniter of faith, provider of hope, and the author of love. Mighty One, O Ancient of Days, you have commanded us to be strong and courageous in life or in death because you are always with us. Receive your servant's most humble prayer as we gather today to honor and celebrate three selfless exemplars of unquestioned commitment and courageous valor. Father, we are thankful for Master Sergeant Earl Plumley, Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash, and Sergeant First Class Christopher Sleece, who embody the sacrificial willingness to lay down one's life for their friends. Each of these men took heroic actions in the face of fear and certain death. Lord, you gave our nation and army the heart of a special forces warrior to free the oppressed, the soul of a dog-faced soldier with a can-do attitude, and the fighting spirit of a ranger to lead the way. When our nation asked who will go, each of these men declared, "Here I am, send me." Faith, hope, and love propelled these men to display the compassion, care, and commitment necessary to throw themselves into the fray to save others. As a grateful nation, help us today as we bestow its highest honor on these men of valor who distinguish themselves at the risk of their own lives above and beyond the call of duty. Bless those that we honor today, and I thank you for the many family members, comrades in arms, and dear friends who are here with us today and others in spirit to support them. May the actions of these men in the crucible of combat inspire others to personal courage and selfless service. Keep the lamp of liberty shining forth brightly across our nation, and let us always serve as a beacon of hope for a freedom-loving people. It is in your holy, majestic, and magnificent name that I pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you. Good afternoon, and welcome to the East Room of the White House, decorated for the holiday season and to celebrate the gift of gratitude. It's an appropriate backdrop for this ceremony, we believe, because our hearts are overflowing with gratitude today as we honor the unparalleled courage and commitment to duty and the indispensable, indisputable gallantry and it's just hard to explain where your soldiers got the courage they got. The late Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash, late Sergeant First Class Christopher Sleece, Master Sergeant Earl Plumley, and our nation's newest recipients of our highest military award, the Medal of Honor. I want to thank all of our distinguished guests that are here today, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of the Secretary Austin, the enlisted advisor, Chairman Colin Lopez, and the leaders of the United States Army, and the Vice President of the United States, and the second gentleman, and I'm Jill's husband. Jill is here. As we add these three names to our nation's roll of honor, I also want to recognize previous Medal of Honor recipients who are here today to honor their brothers in arms. Matthew Williams. Matthew, stand up so people can see you. Thomas Payne. And Edward Byers. Each of you know what it means to stare down danger and summon the strength in the moment of trial. We're grateful for all that you three have done, so many more. And the family of Sergeant First Class Alwyn Chase has been 16 years. This has been 16 years in coming. Representative Murphy, Representative Walsh, thank you for your efforts, your continued efforts, along with the team, Sergeant Cash, his commanders, Commander-in-Arms, his medical team, and the family, who worked with such dedication over so many years to make this recognition possible. October 17th, 2005, Sergeant Cash was commanding a Bradley fighting vehicle on night patrol in Iraq. They came under enemy fire. An improvised explosive device detonated, igniting the vehicle's fuel and engulfing it in flames. The sergeant extracted himself and without hesitation turned back to the vehicle to help free the driver and extinguish flames on the driver. In the process, Sergeant First Class Cash uniform, drenched in fuel, caught fire, causing severe burns. Patrol was still taking enemy fire, but Cash thought only of his fellow soldiers trapped in the troop compartment. So he pushed his own pain aside to return to the burning vehicle and pulled 4 soldiers free. 4 more. At this point, with the second and third degree burns covering almost 75% of his body, his uniform mostly burned away. The sergeant saw there were still 2 soldiers and their interpreter unaccounted for. So he went back into the inferno for a third time and got everyone out of that inferno. That was his code. His love for his 3rd Infantry Division ran deep. No soldier was going to be left behind on his watch. And when helicopters began to arrive, he insisted that his troops be evacuated before he would go. Later, at Brooke Army Medical Center in Texas, where he and other members of his team were taken for treatment, when he regained the ability to speak, his first thoughts were for his units. He asked, first thing, how are my boys? How are my boys? Alwyn Cash was a soldier's soldier, a warrior who literally walked through fire for his troops. Sergeant succumbed to his injuries on November 8, 2005, surrounded by those who loved and loved him. He was a hero. He was a beloved son and brother, a proud husband and a father of 3 children. Sergeant Cash and his family gave everything for our country. Their devotion to his memory, their years working to make sure that his courage and selflessness were properly documented and honored, is a testament to the love he inspired and the legacy he left behind. Sergeant First Class Cash is now the 7th individual to receive a Medal of Honor for his actions in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and the first African American to receive it since the Vietnam War. And Tamara, Alexis, Cassano, I'm so honored to award your husband, your dad, your brother, the recognition that he earned. I know it's tough. As honored as you are, it's got to be tough to be here today. He'll be remembered. He'll be remembered forever. Sergeant First Class Christopher Solis was an Army Ranger through and through with 175. The Rangers lead the way. On July 12th, 2018, nearing the end of the 5th deployment, Sergeant Solis was leading an operation in the Patika province of Afghanistan, not a very friendly place, to clear the area of enemy forces. Attacked and pinned down by a large force, the sergeant exposed himself to the enemy fire in order to retrieve a heavy weapon system that allowed his team to fight back and reach the secure location. During the firefight, a member of his team was critically wounded as they called for medical evacuation. But as the rescue helicopter arrived and began taking fire as well, the sergeant knew time was critical to get his wounded teammate loaded and treated. So he once again, knowingly and willingly, stepped into the enemy's crosshairs. Sergeant Solis used his body as a shield for the aircraft and its crew against the heavy incoming fire. The helicopter began to take off, and he put himself directly between the cockpit and the enemy, ensuring the aircraft could depart and sustaining what would prove to be a mortal wound. He knew he was hit, but he waved for the air crew to depart without him. In the face of extreme danger, he placed the safety of his team and his crew above his own. I can offer no better encapsulation than the words of the U.S. Army ambulance pilot in command that day. He said, quote, "Courage to me is putting your life on the line to save the life of another. as demonstrated by Sergeant First Class Chris Solis, who died protecting my crew, end of quote. Christopher Solis was courage made flesh. Today, we add his name to the elite vanguard of American warriors who generation after generation have strengthened and inspired our nation with their unwavering bravery and service. His legacy lives on. The lives he saved, the teammates he mentored, and the memories he made with his beloved wife, Katie, and especially in their precious daughter, Shannon. Thank you for sharing your dad with our country, Shannon. We'll never forget the debt that we owe you and your whole family. August 28, 2013, then Staff Sergeant Earl Plumley was snapping a quick photo with members of his unit at Forward Operation Base Ghazni in Afghanistan. Then insurgents turned out detonated a 400-pound car bomb that blew open a 60-foot wide breach in the perimeter wall. Staff Sergeant Plumley and members of his special operations team immediately hopped in the nearby truck and raced toward the blast to defend the base. When they arrived, they encountered insurgents coming through the wall, all wearing explosive vests. Our troops started taking rocket fire, recoilless rifle fire, and small arms fire, while the driver of their truck maneuvered into the line of enemy fire to shield injured members of their team outside the vehicle. The staff sergeant exited the vehicle and used his own body to shield the driver. He left whatever cover the truck provided him and began to engage the invaders. Outnumbered with no regard for his own safety, at times armed with only a pistol, Staff Sergeant Plumley attacked the insurgent forces, taking them on one by one. And time and again, bullets flew by, sometimes only inches away. And time and again, Staff Sergeant Plumley closed with the enemy. On multiple occasions during the fight, the insurgents detonated their vest right in front of Plumley, at one point hurling him into a wall and injuring his back. When a fellow soldier was severely wounded, Plumley immediately ran to the soldier's position, carried him to safety, and administered tactical combat casualty care before returning to the fight. Ultimately, Staff Sergeant Plumley was able to organize 3 Polish soldiers to mount an effective defense of the base, clear the area, and regain the security posture. His heroic actions in the battlefield leadership gained the recognition of some of our highest military commanders, including the man who knows a little bit about battles, our chairman of our Joint Chiefs, General Milley, and General McConville, who are here today. We're here today to honor him as well. They saw extraordinary bravery when then Staff Sergeant Plumley did, and they understood the worst outcome he prevented from taking place. They understood what would have happened had he not done what he did. Now, Master Sergeant Plumley this recognition has been too long in coming, delayed for you and your family as well. And no one will ever forget how you sprang into action when the enemy attacked our base. I'm grateful for your continued service and dedication to the country. And that goes for your wife, Terry, and your children, Lillian and Lincoln, as well. Because it's not just the person who wears the uniform who serves. It's the whole family who serves. The sleepless nights, the missed holidays, the empty chairs, the celebrations, the way you give back to your community. The English poet John Milton once wrote, "They also serve who only stand and wait. They also serve who only stand and wait." While today we honor 3 outstanding soldiers whose actions embody the highest ideals of selfless service, we also remember the high price our military members and their families are willing to pay on behalf of our nation. We remember the strength and the sacrifices of these military families, caregivers, and survivors. And we remember and renew our sacred obligation to those who serve this nation in uniform. As a nation, we have many obligations to our children, the elderly, those in need, but we have only one truly sacred obligation. Sacred obligation. That's to properly prepare and equip those troops we send into harm's way, care for them and their families, both while they are deployed and when they return. That commitment never expires. And as Commander in Chief, I promise it's a commitment that we will keep. So God bless you all. And may God protect the troops who are out there right now. And now it's my great honor to ask for the citations to be read and award the Medal of Honor to Sergeant First Class Alwyn Chase, Sergeant First Class Christopher Slees, and Master Sergeant Earl Plumley.